New show, same old birthday continuity errors.
Yep.
Welcome to the special Reboot edition of Charm Chats with Kendra.
And Kat. Woo.
Yeah, we are covering the Charmed Reboot episode 6, Kappa Spirit. It's very, very literal.
Yeah.
I mean, much like last episode, but in a different sort of way.
Yes. They're very literal with their names.
And their portents. It's weird.
Yeah. Let's get into that summary, shall we?
Cool. Maggie and Macy wake up a rumpled Mel, who pulled an all-nighter researching the kinds of demons that could have killed their mother. Macy and Maggie convince Mel to go out for a night at her favorite club. Harry tags along and they talk shop until Lucy and her Kappa crew arrive. Maggie attempts to make amends, but only by the grace of her sisters does she avoid getting a pitcher of margarita dumped on her. Lucy, after being mildly admonished to, quote-unquote, find her zen, lights a fancy-ass candle and attempts to meditate. A spirit of some sort is released from the candle, flies around, and enters the television. At work, Macy awkwardly invites herself to Galvin's party. Maggie drops by Kappa and meets Brenda, an 80s throwback who seems to have Lucy's ear. She does a little research and finds Brenda's obituary from 1989. With Harry's input, she sets on the task of identifying just what kind of spirit Brenda now is. Harry, apparently trying to one-up Macy's previous awkwardness, invites himself along as her +1 to Galvin's birthday party. Mel and Maggie perform a spell to determine Brenda's classification, and it takes them back in time, where they witness Brenda's social ostracization. As a bonus, they get to see Marisol heavily pregnant. She appears to be concerned for her unborn child, but the girls are swept back to the present before they can learn more. Macy and Harry arrive at Galvin's party, and while Summer is smitten with Harry's Welsh rarebit, she cares less for Macy's perusal of her boyfriend. Macy, after seeing some old family photos, has an idea about the strange mark on Galvin's back. Mel and Maggie pick the lock on Kappa and find most of its members locked in the closet. They call Harry to wipe the girls' memories before going on the hunt for the alumni that shamed Brenda back in the 80s. Macy decides to seek the advice of a Yoruba priestess about why she's the only person who can see the cowrie shell on Galvin's back. Mel and Maggie find Jenna, who tells them of Brenda's true nature, and they realize she's not after Jenna, she's after Lucy. At the psychic, Macy gets the pitch and then the boot when she shows Mama Roz the symbol. Roz tells her she has darkness in her and refuses to answer any further questions. At Kappa, Brenda is taunting Lucy to jump off of the roof. When Mel and Maggie and Harry arrive, they try a vanquishing spell. The wrong one, it seems. Maggie is forced to reckon with the pain she has caused Lucy in order to banish Brenda. Maggie and Mel talk about needing to let go and move on. Macy shares her worries with her sisters, who decide against sharing their mother's worries with her. They all return home and stage a charmingly ridiculous initiation ceremony for Maggie, and rope Harry into it on his way back to his condo. Meanwhile, GWGD, that's generic white guy demon, kills Macy's supervisor and steals her blood sample. The words of the priestess ringing in her head, Macy finds a box and a pillar on the porch that contains a very distinct key.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that this key we saw in the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Marisol was fucking wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Also, literally, last fucking episode, we saw what Macy's birthday was. It's November 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And they go back to 1989, and Marisol's at least 6 months pregnant.
At least.
Yeah. So, this is another situation of someone not talking to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god. It was literally last episode, guys.
Or
it's not Macy.
Or it's not Macy.
Yeah, I know, but like,
that's rough. That's literally my only thought process, is that she has 3 girls, but she had maybe a boy first. That was my thought.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, like,
I mean, that's
if she's pregnant, if she's this far along pregnant in 89, and Macy isn't born until November of 90.
Yeah.
She has plenty of time.
Macy wasn't conceived until, like, March.
Yeah.
February or March,
plenty of
somewhere in there.
time to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Again. So if she's like 9 months along at this point, or even like 8 months along at this point in 89, she has plenty of time to get pregnant again and have Macy in November of 90.
Yeah, it's probably the same time in 1989. Right?
I don't know.
Or is it earlier in 1989? I don't know.
All I know is it's before Brenda killed herself.
Yeah.
That's
well,
all the
if
real...
she was in the pledge class, it would have been fall.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Presumably November, October, somewhere in there.
Yeah. But
I don't know how long pledging takes.
Neither do I. But that's my point is if they went back to her first child.
Yeah.
So there's either okay, so there's more than one thought process here. There's either Marisol had another kid before she had Macy, and either gave that kid up, that kid was a boy, or that kid died.
Yeah.
Or it is Macy, and the day, because how did we see her birthday? It was on
it was the employee profile.
The employee thing, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If somehow her birth, because she was adopted, if her adoptive parents had the date wrong.
By at least 6 months? I don't think so.
Even if it was by a year. Or if she was lying about her age. There's a lot of reasons why you could be off by a year.
I mean, it's just not like, okay, so like
I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt.
I know. I just think it's a production error.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta be.
I mean, it's gotta be. They
I mean, if
somehow,
it's not, then it's gonna be, oh, the baby died, and Marisol had a premonition about that. But then it's still like, and she pretty much immediately got pregnant again? That's rough.
Yeah.
That's very rough.
Yeah. But, it happens.
Uh-huh.
My mom lost a baby and then she got pregnant with me.
Like, immediately?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She jokes that I'm her 2-year pregnancy. Yeah.
That's kind of cute.
Yep. There, like I said, I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt of I'm hoping that there will be a reason behind the discrepancy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't a reason behind the discrepancy on the Latin, though. The glamour spells.
Oh, well, yeah, no. That was just a fuck up.
Yeah.
All around.
It's like they think we don't read the things on the screen.
Yeah. It's like they're trying to dumb down stuff for no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Blue.
Okay. So let's get to your hilariously short notes.
Oh man, yeah. This week was tough. I liked that they called the bar the Haunt. Yeah. I don't know why, but I loved it. Because like in the original, like Quake was just a little on the nose.
On the nose for San Francisco, certainly.
Yeah. So because they couldn't do an earthquake related thing because, whatever.
Well, I don't know if this is supposed to be analogous to Quake. I think it's supposed to be analogous to P3.
Possibly.
Because it's a club.
Yeah, possibly. But I like the fact that because we're not supposed to be in California.
Yeah.
I think they're supposed to be in like Maine or something. Like,
Michigan, I think I've heard.
I don't know. It's somewhere on the other side of the country.
Some M.
Yeah. It's not
M
Minnesota.
State.
It's not Minnesota.
It'd be fun if it were Minnesota, though.
It'd be funny, but it isn't.
No, fun, not funny.
Either way. But yeah, no, I thought I read somewhere that it was supposed to be like a fictional town in Maine, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that that they named it the Haunt because it kind of reminds me.
It's their favorite haunt.
Exactly. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Kindred the Embraced, where the bar in there, the club in there is called the Haven, which just is if you know Kindred, like your haven is where you can go to be safe.
Yeah.
And so it's that little bit of play of like we're calling out the little funniness about this, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I loved WWGPD. What would Gwyneth Paltrow do?
Even Gwyneth Paltrow has limits.
Exactly. Like that entire scene was just like, oh,
I did enjoy that her lackeys were not comfortable with her behavior.
Yes, I absolutely liked that a lot.
That's super not cool. Like, you shouldn't have done that.
Like, yeah, like, and you're not being cool. What the fuck is wrong?
Yeah, and she listened.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, for this, I will say this episode showed a lot of character growth between a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, like, it kind of makes me happy that I continued watching.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, normally I give up after 3, but again, like I've said before, and I'll probably say again, if I wasn't watching this for the podcast, I probably would have stopped a while ago. Mm-hmm. But, like, this episode, had I stopped watching at 3 and somebody was like, well, but it's in season 6 they actually gain personalities.
Oh gosh, no. Or season 6.
Sorry, not season 6. I'm at episode 6. In episode 6 they actually gain personalities. I'd been like, okay, well then when it's done I'll go back and binge watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But, like, if we weren't watching this for the podcast, I probably wouldn't, like, have watched it week to week. Mm-hmm. But knowing that they actually do have character growth.
Yeah.
Once it was over, I probably would have gone back and watched them all, like, binge watch the season. Mm-hmm. Which makes me happy. Like, it really does. That they're actually getting better.
Yeah.
Because it was just so one-dimensional. Like, the past few episodes have just been so one-dimensional. Like, 1.5 dimensional at most.
Oh, man. Physics don't like that.
Yeah. It just, I like my characters to have purpose. And
panache.
Without being stereotypes.
Uh-huh.
And that's been my problem with most of these characters, is they've all been slightly stereotypes.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll get to, later, but, like, Mel has actually had some character growth in this episode.
Which is fun, because she hasn't had a lot to do in this episode.
Yeah, she didn't do a whole lot.
She's in a fair amount of scenes, but she's not the main focus of most of them.
Right. But, like, the arc for her character in this episode is she starts off basically feeling sorry for herself and sad and mopey and whatever because she's lost the love of her life.
Denying that she's being all mopey and stuff.
Right. And freaking out because, she's lost the love of her life and she doesn't know how to deal with her life without that. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the episode, she's like, okay, I have to move on.
Yeah, the entire theme of this episode is about moving on. They have a ghost, for fuck's sake.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that because it actually gives her personality and it gives her more dimension. And she goes from being a one-dimensional character to being a 2.5-dimensional character. Like, she's not completely there.
Yeah.
Because she still has her little moments of annoyance. Mm-hmm. But she's getting much more into being a real person as opposed to being a caricature of a man-hating lesbian. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, because that's how she started out, was just... She was our raging feminist and, gotta get that diversity and that message out there, message with the capital M. And she's toned down much more now to being, she's a real person with real emotions. And, she's not going through a breakup. She's going through my relationship never existed. And that's
a very unique situation.
Yeah, exactly. And so by the end of it, knowing that she has to move on and she's finally going to deal with moving on, it gave her enough of a personality. I was like, hey, I didn't completely hate her. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Though, can I just say, seeing someone else pick a lock does not mean you can pick a lock.
I know. I saw Nico do it once.
Yeah. Like, no. I'm sorry.
It would have been also, what would have been hilarious is if that was like a role play thing with them.
That would have been funny.
Like she had to learn to pick Nico's handcuffs or something.
That would have been funny. But also, what was she using to pick that lock?
A hairpin or something.
Because
also, that's the lock I have on the house.
Yeah.
It's one of those smart locks. I heard it beep when she unlocked it.
Yeah.
Like, no. Those are supposed to... Well, like, they're probably not actually lockpick proof. I'm sure that one guy from Leverage could probably do it.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Elliot? Or
no.
Which one?
The one they consulted.
Oh. Parker.
No, the one they consulted for the episode where he's like a rival.
Fuck.
Yeah. For some reason, the only name my head is coming up with is Taliesin Jaffe, which I know he's not.
No, that is not Taliesin
He just
Jaffe.
reminds me of him.
Apollo,
yes.
Yeah, Apollo. I knew it would come to me. It just took a second.
Yeah, like the professional thief guy.
Yeah, Apollo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Apollo. He's fun.
I'm sure he could pick that lock.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, your average Joe or Jane.
Yeah,
or,
not so much.
Actually, no, Joe's a gender-neutral name. Average Joe wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my brain went, they're Hispanic. Your average Jose. Sorry, that's completely...
No.
It's completely wrong and not politically correct, but it made me laugh.
Also, I don't know that Jose is gender-neutral.
No, Jose is not gender-neutral.
I'm not a gender-neutral Spanish name.
I don't know, but that's
I don't know enough Hispanic
I don't know.
names.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a gender-neutral name per se.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's like a nickname of a name that could go
possibly.
either way.
Possibly. I don't know. That's a think for a different day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I enjoy the 80s lingo that they've peppered into this because, like, oh my God, that brought me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that the ghost Kappa was named Brenda because that's a very 80s name. Like, my goodness.
Yeah, and apparently part of pledge, I'm going to call it hazing because it kind of is they have to memorize the names and preferences and drink preferences of all of the Kappas, which, granted, when you go into that closet where they're all tied up, there's maybe 10 of them.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is everybody?
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge goddamn house.
Yeah.
I would expect there to be... And I've been in frat houses and sorority houses. Like, they pack them. Like, you have at least one roommate. Yeah. And there's a lot of rooms. Yeah. And there's usually additions onto these. They started off as regular houses, and then they built, like, random-ass additions, and there's maybe, like, 3 or 4, especially if it's a frat house, 3 or 4 guys in a room.
Yeah.
And they pack up the basement.
I know that having to memorize, like, who all of the
like roster doesn't surprise me, but like drink preferences,
I think drink preferences is a
little much.
But yeah, knowing who everybody is makes sense because if somebody shows up randomly, you want to know if they belong. I kind of get it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that bit from Devil Wears Prada where Emily Blunt and Anne Hathaway have to memorize the names of everyone who's going to be at this party so they can tell Miranda because she doesn't want to bother to remember.
Exactly.
She probably knows all of them, but she's still like, I need confirmation.
Yeah. Or, you know, it's like the West Wing where it's somebody else knows all the names so that you don't, because you have other things to worry about.
Yeah.
So it's the who is this again? Okay, cool. And then you walk into the room and you know who they are. And, like, it just makes sense where it's like, you know, somebody else knows this
delegate that job.
Yeah, exactly.
I have brain space that needs to be taken up with other things.
Exactly. I do like that they had the ghost go into the TV so that we had the logo come through the static.
That was
my favorite
transition.
One. Yeah, that was my favorite one so far.
Yeah, it was just immediate.
Yeah.
It was like an immediate transition and
Yeah. It's one of those where, like, it seemed a little bit, like, tacked in where it was like, well, how are we going to do this? Oh, let's just make the ghost go into the TV and we'll do it.
No,
but it worked.
And then they brought back that effect for when Mel and Maggie were going into the past.
Right. And they brought back that effect when Brenda finally disappeared where she did the flicker out like an old TV.
Yep.
And so they brought it in a way where it didn't seem forced anymore. But when it first happened, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that looked really cool and all. But then by the time you got to the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it, and now I like it a lot more.
Yeah, and I have to say, the 80s flashback, not super ostentatious. Like, it wasn't, obviously, they weren't going to go with the more mundane sort of 80s styles, but they did manage to, like, capture a lot of the, I feel like, feeling of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And what I found interesting was that, like, we see Brenda as a ghost. She's wearing that particular outfit, which seems like it would be 80s cool. Like, it's not, like...
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Super trendy, but it's not, like, super not trendy.
It was very 80s,
It's about midline.
Yeah.
And then we go back, and seeing her in contrast to all of the other Kappas, even the ones that aren't gonna be, like, doing the aerobics for Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I loved that.
She looked like she was not fitting in.
Right.
So that's a good costume costume job there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I enjoyed the aerobics for Alzheimer's thing because then they got to have Maggie be like, Pilates for poverty, and I just started giggling so hard. Oh God, Pilates for poverty. But, and again, this was one of those moments where Mel, being that, you know, raging feminist thing, was like, men pay to watch this, rah, 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 rah. It's like, it's a fucking fundraiser. That's the point.
I mean, if you've got it, flaunt it.
And, like, you're raising money. What are they going to do? A bake sale? Nobody gives a shit about a bake sale.
Why the fuck not take advantage of the fact that guys are going to be ogling you? Like, if these girls are okay with doing that...
That's my thing, right there. And that's my point. If you are okay with it, you know that these men are going to be ogling you, and you're raising money for a charity. Mm-hmm. If you're okay with that, then do it. Why?
I just hope none of them were, like, peer pressured into it.
Right.
Which we don't know.
We don't know.
We're never going to find out. Right. Whatever.
But that's, I think, my point in this whole thing is consent is a thing. And...
Wait, what?
I know, right? But, like, you know, if you're okay with it and you're not breaking any laws, then go for it. That's the big thing. Hi, Blue. He keeps moving around. And
he has exactly one ear visible.
It's adorable.
Yeah, and it's like touching your butt.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I feel the warmth.
You feel the warmth of his little rabbit ear.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but yeah, I like the fact that they brought that in because it was very 80s. Aerobics was a huge thing in the 80s.
So much.
And the fact that they brought it in as a Kappas have been doing charity forever. You know, we've updated it now because it's Pilates for poverty.
Yeah.
But I like that they kept up the fact that Kappas have always been like charity driven and actually like nice people.
Or at least as nice as societal conventions for sororities tend to allow. Yeah. Because then even when they go over to Jenna's house and she's like, we would never bully. And Maggie's like, see? And I'm like, I don't know how much I believe either of them, but they clearly believe it, so...
Yeah. Well, and that's my thing is again, like, I understand the Greek system. Once you get into your sorority or fraternity or whatever, then yeah, it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood, it's, you know, whatever. But for me, it's always just that little bit of, like, the hazing portion of it that pisses me off. Because, like, and that's why I want to be part of a group?
That's why a lot of universities are really trying to tamp down on that. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, I never rushed at Butler, but from what I could tell, like, once you became a pledge, it was all fairly standard, and there was, like, the usual, okay, well, maybe we have a scavenger hunt thingy that you've got to do for, like, initiation.
That I'm okay with.
The
honorary... testing your mental skills, I'm okay with.
The honorary fraternity I was in for music was more about, like, okay, well, here are the requirements that you have to be to get in, which is just, like, class stuff. And then... we, like, do interviews and stuff, and it's all about, like, do you think this would be a good fit for you? And then the initiation ceremony is cute and a little ridiculous, and we have fun with it, but it's not hazy. It's just, like, fake mysterious.
And I'm okay with that.
And from what I can tell, that's pretty much the way it was with the regular, like, sororities and fraternities, at least the sororities that I could see because my friends would all post the pictures. There was just, like, an added level of, like, sartorial ceremony where, like, you just had to wear certain clothes for certain, like, ceremonies. Like, all of your initiation stuff, you'd have to wear white.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Just a little weird for me, but it's fine.
No, because...
And then, like, there was the whole process of, like, I know that it was just a more formal, extended process than, like, what I had to go through because I wasn't going to be living in that house.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is I don't mind the mental games of, you know, here's a scavenger hunt, find everything in 30 minutes. Or, you know, memorize this passage and then repeat it back to me after, you know, running across campus.
Yeah, here's a handbook, memorize that shit.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with those.
Learn the names of everyone in the house.
Right. I mean, I would suck at that because my brain sucks, but I understand that and I'm okay with that. It's we're going to be bitchy to you and throw things at you and, douse you in coffee or whatever. Like, it's those things where it's like, why do I want to be a part of this system if they're just bullying me right up from the start?
Mostly what I heard about was just some slightly passive-aggressive shit where they just wouldn't accept you as a pledge because they have, you have to make a bid and then they have to accept it. So a lot of the in-group, out-group issues would happen right there. Like, I knew someone who desperately wanted to be in a sorority. I don't think it would have jived well with her personality because I lived with her and it was not easy to live with her. Not in a, we butted heads or anything. It was just, I don't think she was used to living with other people who needed her to clean up after herself. Yeah. And so, you were able to rush freshman and sophomore year, but not any later. And so she did both times for different sororities, and both times her bid was not accepted. Yeah. And it was clearly, very disappointing for her, and I kind of sympathize with that. And I understand, they have limited space, and maybe they don't think all personalities work out well, and, honestly, in that case, I would side a little more with her than them, but, after living with her, I'm like, yeah, it's probably best for them that they didn't accept her.
Yeah. I have learned that I am hard to live with if you don't know me well. But it's also one of those things where, if I have my own space where all of my stuff goes, then that's much better for me.
I'm gesturing broadly to my space because that's pretty much how I am. Yeah. And, I can be a little messy, but I try to relegate it to my common spaces, to my personal spaces, rather, and to whatever chair in the dining room I happen to occupy. Right. And that's my space. My chair in the kitchen is my chair. And I can put my mail on it, and I like that. Yeah. And leave my keys, on the seat.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I just like communication. Yeah. I like to be taken at face value when I'm trying to communicate. I don't I don't know. It was a small thing and it's not really an issue, but this morning I come downstairs and I see that the back door is open, but the thing is locked. And I'm like, was this open all day, all night or whatever? And I see Colin has his teapot on the table. And so I'm like, okay, well, Colin was down here. Did he open it? And so I asked him if he opened it. He's like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, but was it open when you came down here? And he's like, oh, I didn't open it. I'm like, that's not what I'm asking. I just wanted to know if it was open all night. Right. Did you see it open earlier when you came down? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so it probably just, blew open somehow. Weird. But, communication issues, I'm like, this is,
I'm asking a specific question.
Here's the question I'm asking. Yeah. Was this open when you came down? He's like, I didn't open. That's not what I was asking.
That's not the question I asked. Yeah.
I already asked that question. I'm asking a new question now. Yeah. So I just like to be taken at face value. Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. There are a lot of times where I will ask something and someone will answer a question I didn't ask. And it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to circumvent what you think I'm going to ask next. But I would really like the answer to the question I'm asking now.
Yeah. And, sometimes I'm able to do that where people ask me a question and I can skip because I know the direction it's going. But for some reason, no one, when people try to do that with me, I can't handle it too much they don't know the direction I'm going or something. I don't know. And I gather this is a problem with people with ADHD and autism where communication tends to go different ways. Yep. And I would love it if it would just be let's just all communicate, guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, as someone who has ADHD, it's not how the brain works. Nope. Your brain does not work the same way as my brain does. Nope. Because our ADHD manifests differently. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Yeah. Let's see what other things. Oh, so they called Brenda a banshee. Or they assumed she was a banshee.
They assumed she was a banshee.
Now, we have now seen Banshee in the original series. Yeah. And it's not even remotely close to what they said it was in this one.
No. But, again, there wasn't really a physical descriptor.
Right. So, but here's my question. Were they just wrong? Or have they changed what Banshee is for the new show?
6 of one, half dozen of the other?
Yeah. We won't find out for a while, I'm sure.
We probably won't.
But the only reason that I have the thought process of she's not actually a banshee is because the spell didn't work.
Well, yeah.
No.
Because they changed it. They didn't try the spell for a banshee. They took a photo of it and went to Kappa and then found out shit and then went to Jenna's house and then decided she was a revenant.
Ah, okay.
They never tried the banshee spell. Okay. And also the revenant spell was like half a line.
Yeah.
It was like 5 words.
Okay, yeah. No, I forgot about that bit where they decided she wasn't really a banshee. Okay, I missed it. I either missed it or I just forgot because, you know.
Because you didn't write it down.
I didn't write it down because I couldn't sit up long enough to write it down. Mm-hmm. Don't hurt yourself before a holiday weekend, people. It's not fun.
Nope.
Let's see. Cutting to the end of the episode. I know. Okay, so Macy goes to see this seer chick.
This Yoruba priestess person.
Right. Roz, was it?
Mama Roz.
So $20 for 10 minutes. She gives her the $20. She's at the seat for less than a minute. And she's like, our time is up. And so she's like, okay, I will pay you again. Like, first of all, I was just like, no, you tell her, you told me 10 minutes, $20. I've given you 20. You owe me another 9 minutes. Like, that's how I would have done it instead of just throwing down more money.
Yeah, what is this, the argument clinic?
Yeah. But can I just say, sometimes this show is too fucking literal for its own good.
Yeah.
The pillar of whatever.
The pillar of your past holds the key to your
destiny or your life or whatever. Your key to your darkness.
Key to your darkness, yeah.
The pillar of the past holds the key to your darkness.
So what does she do? She looks outside the front door and she sees a weird broom thingy
on the pillar.
It looks like it's sort of analogous to a mezuzah.
Yeah.
On the pillar. And so she pulls it off with her
magic.
With her telekinesis. And hey, look, there's a perfectly chiseled hole in there holding a tiny box. And there's a key.
Yeah. So, first of all, I know that it's nighttime, but doing magic in the open, just right there on the porch.
Well, she looked around.
I'm just saying.
I know. But she looked around.
Once again.
I know. But at least we saw her look around. Yes. As opposed to Harry, who just fucking orbed onto the porch in broad daylight.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit literal of
literal
pillar holds a key, and then it's literally the pillar.
See, usually the way this goes is that you contemplate about what the fuck this could mean for like an episode, and then suddenly you walk past the pillar and you look at it and you're like, could something be behind that? Could this be a literal thing?
Right.
And then it.
Normally you contemplate some shit for a little while, but nope. We had to throw it into this episode.
Yeah,
because
because everything's got to be condensed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was a little bit too on the nose for me.
Yeah,
just a little bit on the nose.
Yeah. So Macy's supervisor dude, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I'm just wondering, is he in charge of scheduling?
Because he said no one was supposed to be there?
No. Because then he'd be a Gregorian calendar.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is why Kendra edits these things, so that she can leave that joke in there. Anyway.
Yeah, we've never seen him before. We will never see him again.
Well, that's not completely true. We could see him again, seeing as...
I don't think he touched him, though.
He had to have when he stabbed him in the thing.
No, he didn't, because he stabbed him. You don't always touch someone when you stab them.
But the way...
If you break their neck, yeah, you touch them.
Well, but here's the thing, is he said... Because dude was like, I'm in charge, and he's like, not anymore, and he does the thingy. So I'm putting my money down now that there is the possibility that we will see generic white boy demon, what was his name, Hunter?
Yeah.
As this dude in the next episode or in some upcoming episode. That he is going to pretend to be him to get in with Macy.
I feel like, just based on what happened right there, he probably doesn't want to bother doing that. Like the only goal was like they put in the whole thing about did he say donating blood at the beginning, which is weird.
Yeah,
it was a drug testing thing, so it wasn't donating blood anyway. Which really they should just have you pee in a cup.
Well, yes.
It's not going to show everything, and they do work in a genetics lab, so maybe it's more efficient to just use the existing blood testing materials, but machinery rather. But like they just put. I hear oh hey, you've got to like give blood for a drug test. I'm like, well yeah, that's a Lucifer analog right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back, just one little scene right by the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. But yeah, like literally that was only done so they could get her blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Hunter's gonna bother with any more of the genetics lab.
I don't know, because I don't know. I have an inkling that if he's going to come back, he's going to come back as that dude. Mm-hmm. But the only reason that I would think that maybe not is because he just kind of left him there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
People will find him the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, I think it was just the way that he said that line,
mm-hmm.
where it made me think that he's going to come back to do something. The other possibility is that he will come in posing as somebody else.
Maybe.
And coming in as a I'm in charge now kind of thing.
Yeah, although all these deaths in the labs are gonna start looking weird.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a titch. And it didn't look like an accident either. Like it was absolutely some dude got stabbed in the neck with a
and it would have been a little annoying to like do the fiendifier shit.
Green flame.
Yeah. In the lab, because that would probably destroy the entire fucking building because you can't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I don't think he was that interested in covering his tracks.
No, not so much.
So, if he were planning on coming back, I think he would have been more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's many thoughts happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, I think my final thoughts, I'm pleasantly optimistic. Like my last few, it's been, I think, because I know like the first one and like the last couple have been like a 6 out of 10. This one goes up to a 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Like it got a little better, especially toward the end where Mel actually had a bit of a personality character growth moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that continues, because if it doesn't, then my score will rapidly go back down. But I enjoy the fact that they are giving them more things, that even like Lucy had a bit of a character driven moment, and
yeah,
Maggie and Lucy
wine coolers. That's a new low.
Yeah, I loved that. That was funny. I used to love a good wine cooler.
That was, I think, the first alcohol I ever had on purpose.
Yep. Yep. Same. Strawberry daiquiri wine cooler.
B&J.
Yep. Hell yeah, Burleson James.
I think mine was one of the. It wasn't. I don't think it was a daiquiri. I think it was something. It was a peach Bellini or something. I forget. They had like a peach something.
I don't think I've ever done the peach Bellinis.
That is one of the B&Js though, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I've had a fuzzy navel.
Oh, that was it. Sorry. Yeah, I knew it was a peach thing.
Yeah, I've had a fuzzy navel, and I've had the strawberry daiquiri.
And they are weak sauce.
They are so weak. But like I used to have absolutely no tolerance for alcohol. Like half a wine cooler would get me a little tipsy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is saying a lot, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because there is not a lot of alcohol in a wine cooler.
No.
Like, at all.
No, and the way it metabolizes is dependent on, like, your weight and your gender and, like, a whole bunch of other fucking factors. Like, the enzymes currently residing in your liver.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest thing, especially because when I started drinking, and wine cooler was my go-to because it's cheap alcohol and it's not beer.
Yeah.
It's because there's so much sugar that it attacked my system. It was just like, hi, here you go. Be loopy. Have fun. And so, yeah, like half a wine cooler and I would be tipsy to fuck. And like, I remember, oh God, it was my friend's 21st birthday and she'd never had a drink before. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to drink, like if you don't, because you don't know how you're going to feel, we can either go to a bar and you can like, get shots of stuff and see what you like the taste of, Or we can go to the store and you can look at what's out there and pick something that you think you might like, and then we just get that. And so she opted for going to the store, and we went to the wine cooler section because she didn't want to try anything hard to start because, you know, it's only her 21st, so she's got time, right?
Yeah.
So we go to the wine cooler section. She's looking at all the wine coolers and whatever, and this was before I was allergic to coconut, and so there was like a pina colada one that we had, and but she found the strawberry daiquiri Bartles and James wine cooler. And then she saw strawberry daiquiri from like some other that wasn't Bartles and James. And I was like, no, you want B&J. Like, if you're going to do crap alcohol, you want B&J because it's the best of the crap alcohol. And she's like, I don't know. So we got them both, right? It's like, okay, fine. It's your 21st. You want to try them? We'll try them. She opened the not Bartles and James, which tells you a lot that I don't remember what company it was. She opens that one, took one sip, and she goes, oh my God, that's like drinking like rubbing alcohol. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, now have the B&J. She opened that one. She downed it in like 3 gulps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there you go. Happy birthday. So, yeah. If you're going to get crap alcohol, get the best of the crap alcohol.
Yeah, like going for wine, Barefoot's fine.
Yeah.
It's really good for its price point.
Mm-hmm.
So why
and
not
if you
go
want,
for it?
If you
and you can
want,
go for the tiny bottles.
Yeah, go for the tiny bottles. But if you want... This is the thing that I've also learned because I'm not a wine person. I don't really care much for wine at all. But I like a sweet drink. Yeah. I don't like my alcohol to taste like alcohol. Yeah. You know? There is, I don't remember, I'll have to find, my friend Danielle was the one who got me into it. But there was a Moscato, which is the only wine that I enjoy.
I love a Moscato.
Yeah, because it's super sweet. I like it a lot. But there's a Moscato out there that tastes like liquid grape jelly. And it is amazing. And like, if I go back to drinking, that's what I would start with. Be like, yes, let me get me a bottle of this. All right. Because that's what we had.
Cupcake, maybe?
No. Like I said, I'll know it when I see it. But I can always just text Danielle and be like, hey, what's that Moscato that I liked? Because she's much more into drinking than I am. So.
Yeah. She's probably got a better memory than you.
Maybe. I don't know. She has literally said that I am smarter than her because I remember things she doesn't, and
well, that doesn't mean much.
Well, no, and like and that I will remember things that she doesn't in such a way that makes her feel dumb, which I think is very funny because it's like it's just my brain works differently than yours.
Yeah.
It's like you
get that a lot from people.
Yeah, it's like you have a mind that works differently. Like she is much more an outgoing personality. She's been in like musicals and stuff that I could not do. Like I can do the singing thing. I like the singing thing. I can't do the acting thing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on a stage because I am singing, I am standing in one place. I am singing the songs that I know, and that's great. But try to put me with dancing or moving about while doing it. Nope. My brain does not work that way. I can do the acting thing when it's voice acting and I'm just sitting in front of a microphone and speaking the lines. That I can do. But put me in front of an audience or a camera or whatever and I can't do it. That's why I laugh at the fact of like, you know, we were joking when we first started the podcast of, well, maybe one of these days we'll get to do it live. And I'm like, no.
No, we're too awkward for that. Like I'm constantly changing sitting positions because I'm like uncomfortable or just because I feel like I need to move.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also like most podcasts that do like the live show thing, they get an hour.
Yeah.
Our podcast has never been an hour. Not really.
No.
Like if it ever comes out to being an hour, with the exception of this reboot, which because we're just doing quick off the cuff like talking. If the normal podcast ever is less than an hour, it's because I've done an extensive amount of editing.
Yeah. And also we were pressed for time.
Yeah. We never get it down to less than an hour, like ever, without extensive amounts of editing. So that says a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you have anything else?
I really liked the de-aging work they did on Marisol. It was pretty subtle.
It was subtle, yeah.
I want to know who the fuck she was talking to.
Yeah.
I want to know who her friend was.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly it wasn't Elder Pantsuit.
Right.
So I feel like we need to know who that woman was. Maybe they should track her down. Maybe they're going to. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the one thing I do enjoy about the reboot, and it's going to sound stupid because it's, it's the silly little thing, but I really enjoy that you have no idea what's coming up.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because for the original series, I have no idea what's coming up anymore. I have inklings of little things, maybe a scene here or there from episodes, but I, for the most part, don't know what's coming up because I don't remember it.
And I have a lot of, weird visual memories of it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, I can, because I have that thing where if I see a screen cap, I definitely know what season it's from.
Mm-hmm.
And I can usually tell, depending on the specificity of, what's around them, what episode it is. For Phoebe specifically, I can usually tell what episode we're in if I see the screen cap.
Mm-hmm.
Just, of her hairdo.
Yeah.
Usually. Because it changes so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing is, when I'm watching an episode, especially, season 4, I've seen a gift set of something that I hadn't remembered. And it was like, oh, when we get to that scene, I'm like, oh, I remember that gift set.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I remember it is because of Tumblr.
Yeah.
A gift set on Tumblr is the only reason I remember it.
Gift sets on Tumblr and the 2 clips from WALL-E are the only reason I managed to get through Hello Dolly. It was not a movie I enjoyed very much.
I've never actually watched Hello Dolly.
It's very,
it's
of the time it was set in, which is saying something.
Yeah.
It wasn't even of the time it was made. It's the time it was set in.
Yeah. I've seen Casablanca, finally. My mother was very proud of me that I finally sat through that one.
Yeah, I've only watched
She jokes that I don't watch anything in black and white, and I'm like, that's not true. I've seen Clerks. Which is the running joke in my family. It's she goes, okay, you've never seen anything set in black and white that was made before you were born. I'm like, well, I mean, that's not true now, but that was very true. It was yeah. Anyway, are we done? I think we're done.
I think we're done.
All right. We have no sign off.